Today I want to get into the hate that Jung Kook is receiving and people calling him a liar. And then I want to get into Jung Kook believed to have dated a blonde girl but broke up. And then Jung Kook talks about legal action. So hey Dumplings, is Dave. Decide hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling, taste bling mug merch, and let's go. We need to talk about legal action and Jung Kook speaking up about this. It's interesting as each member has their own way of dealing with hate comments. Previously, we have seen how Taeyang has chosen to deal with hate comments. There was a case where a former YouTube channel called Sojang decided to spread some rumors and malicious posts. Taeyang threatened that he will be taking legal action against them and decided to go ahead and do that. It was believed that the legal action actually did happen, as Sojang did come out and issue a public apology later, or at least it was someone who was believed to be Sojang. This was interesting because it served as an example of when legal action is taken, does that actually do anything to stop the hate? And initially, no, the hate only got worse, and it seemed like other channels decided to jump on the trend of sending hate because they believed that it would gain the attention of Taeyang. There ended up being another person who posted on a public forum recently who apologized and said that they regret leaving all those hate comments. So did it work? I don't know, because if it worked, it should have stopped after Sojang. It was interesting because Jung Kook had also acknowledged the hater or stalker situation, and I assumed it actually got bigger. When Big Hit or Hybe released their quarterly legal update, they specified that they were taking legal action on those invading the artist's private space as well. And initially, when Jung Kook addressed the food delivery situation on Weverse, he said that he wouldn't take legal action with that situation, but only if it happened again. So I assumed it happened again, and probably would not have happened again if Jung Kook never publicly addressed it. I don't know. Jung Kook during his live stream talked about dating and what people have been saying about him recently. I will get more into this a bit more later. Jung Kook addressed that he feels like people should ignore the haters. He then got a comment on the stream asking him to sue these haters and rumor spreaders. He actually responded in a very interesting way to say that he will actually not sue them, but asked everyone to ignore the haters. He continues by saying if you do not ignore them, they will just keep coming because they just want attention. He continues to say if you don't give them attention, then they won't do or say those things. And this is exactly true and 100% right. These haters can literally sit there and say the most awful thing or try to come up with a random theory, and if it doesn't take, as in it doesn't go viral, they would never do it again. First off, paparazzi or news sites wouldn't try to catch Jung Kook in action because every time they do, it gets no attention. And then these haters won't do it because they gain nothing from it. So I think the boys have tried two different approaches already. One of them being a more straightforward, direct approach where they try to sue the haters, and then the other approach is now to be ignoring them. And they have probably realized that when trying to sue them, it actually makes it bigger as opposed to smaller. And people like to say all sorts of things. And one thing that actually became a bit of a big deal was people saying that Jung Kook was dating a girl because someone allegedly leaked a video through his apartment window, claiming he was dating a girl. The video went viral on Weibo, Chinese social media, and then viral on TikTok. This video really got a lot of people commenting on his recent live stream, and it seemed like Jung Kook had to respond. He replied to a few comments on the stream asking if he indeed had a girlfriend, to which Jung Kook said that armies are his girlfriend, and currently right now he is just focused on working and not dating. This of course should reassure armies, but people actually came out to try to prove that he was lying. And I typically think we should take people's word on what they say. If he claims he's not dating, then why assume otherwise? Because it's not just people trying to cancel him or get him into a scandal, it's people who absolutely want to know the truth and then sit on Twitter or X and demand the truth. Imagine if a stranger came to you and asked you for your family information and you said no, but then they demanded you tell them because they just wanted to know the truth. You probably have this feeling in your chest like, I don't owe them this information. And if Jung Kook doesn't want to talk about dating or actually has given you a formal answer, then why keep prying? People were saying that news sites or other fans acting like paparazzi keep insisting that Jung Kook is dating someone because they stalk him to the point where we see him outside his apartment, and then emphasize the quote-unquote evidence that proves he's dating. So things like in the apartment, the TV and thermostat matches the viral video, and this is just too much. There has to be a point where fans will think they're going too far to find information, and information that is no one's business. To see Jung Kook walking out of his apartment and to even go as far as to get that photo just to see if he's with a woman or lying, why? Even if he was lying, he's lying about his own business. He can do that. You're also allowed to do that. But then that's going to be used to attack him, to say that he's not being authentic or real to his followers anymore. And it's like, no, he's allowed to not disclose very personal information. I hate when artists get into scandals for things like smoking, drugs, or having sex. It's like, that is completely their decision and affects no one else. If you're an adult and scared that your kid is going to do drugs after listening to an artist, that is your problem. Because there's so many artists and celebrities that do it, you cannot force your kid to not listen to those artists either. You do your job and teach your kid that those things are wrong, and if they choose to do drugs or smoke cigs when they're older, then you can try to stop them. But when they move out and still really want to try it, then they'll probably do it. So you can't stop them. The most you can do is just teach them the consequences, and to blame idols or celebrities as the reason why your kid would do these things is taking less accountability on your own parenting style and trying to blame someone else. I also really don't think Jung Kook lied. I think he was telling the truth and absolutely is not seeing anyone right now. He just simply would not have the time. Many people also had this very weird theory about Jung Kook and a blonde girl. If you're not aware, Jung Kook was believed to be dating a blonde girl. This was apparently during his trip to Dubai, and people were saying that he was apparently dating a blonde jeweler who gave him a necklace. The only quote-unquote evidence that exists of this is the fact that Jung Kook has had the same necklace and was seen in the airport with it or something. However, that's it. So apparently that's all you need. And so people were saying that Jung Kook saying he was dating anyone was Jung Kook confirming that he isn't dating now, but had been dating in the past and had broken up with someone recently. And that since Jung Kook didn't deny ever dating this blonde girl, that he must have dated her in the past. How on earth is he supposed to deny dating this blonde girl? First off, we can clearly see that when Jung Kook denies dating anyone, it's still seen as him lying. And then second of all, how are you going to deny dating someone that you don't know exists? Like, what are you to say? That everyone who is a part of this rumor is stupid? Because who is this blonde girl? How is it that still to this day we still do not have a name for this alleged blonde girl or a face? Or any sort of evidence that the two were ever together. This blonde girl might as well just be an imaginary person, in which case Jung Kook would literally sound crazy to deny dating an imaginary person. He would read comments like that and think, oh, that's a joke, because obviously I'm not dating a made-up person, and so no. I also don't think that the two just broke up or whatever, because I don't think they were ever together. And also, people think that Jung Kook was with the blonde girl in the viral Weibo video. That also makes no sense, because Jung Kook was seemingly not even with a blonde girl in that video. And then also, on the other hand, people wanted Jung Kook to be dating this blonde girl so much that they continue the story and narrative far after Jung Kook has denied it, just to keep the fantasy alive. And honestly, I wish I can live in this type of delusion that is so far from reality, because then I can just imagine my life in the perfect way that I envision it to be and just live in that bubble. Unfortunately, my life only exists as hard facts. Like, I can't even live in a pretend world for a minute. I need the facts. So it's very hard for me to acknowledge that there are people who can make up a whole story and a whole reality based on nothing that is factual. And then it's even weirder when that fantasy is questioned. They try to get the idol to answer for it. And it's like, how did you come up with that reality? And the idol actually is weirded out because it's so far removed from what they may actually be going through. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check on Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks. Just a little bit comment right here. Love you. Bye.